There we are. Glad you're here. As we talk about this situation right here. I'm tired of hearing about Joe Mixon. And people don't talk enough about him, who just got drafted at the last pick of the draft by the Denver Broncos. Chad Kelly, who happens to be the dysfunctional nephew of Buffalo Bills quarterback Jim Kelly. Now, Cincinnati television station wants to ban not showing the Bengals game because they drafted Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was 17 years old when you saw the video of him hitting the female, and everybody saw it. He was 17 years of age. I think he was probably even 16 when it happened. And he wasn't charged because she actually started it. The tape shows she was insulting him first. But still, he shouldn't have hit her. And because of that fact, that cost him a first-round draft pick, which means millions of dollars down the drain. He's never had an incident before. They've done extensive interviews and background checks on him. He just turned 18 years of age. He just turned 18 years of age. And already they treat him like a criminal. Chad Kelly gets kicked off the football team. Didn't even play football. Tried to join the lacrosse team. Gets in a bar fight at a club where he's talking about he finna AK spray the nightclub after punching the bouncer. Then goes to his brother's high school football game and gets in the middle of a brawl. Yet and still, no one is complaining about him being drafted by the Denver Broncos. And what John Elway say when he drafted him? He said, I made a phone call. I talked to his Uncle Jim, and he told me he's a good kid. That's all I needed to hear. So that's all you need to hear. He's a good kid. He's 22 years old, but he's viewed as a kid. Not once in mentioning Joe Mixon has they ever mentioned him as a kid, and he's 17 years old. Now, Cincinnati television station wants to ban Cincinnati games. They didn't mention that the same white girl says she hopes that Mixon gets a fair shake. And she's over the situation. Nobody mentions that. And she felt he should get a chance to be drafted. Nobody mentions that. But because the Cincinnati Bengals drafted him, people are upset. And Joe Klatt was on Undisputed talking about he's upset with where he went. Because he basically looks at the Cincinnati Bengals as a collection of thugs. And those people who are in rehab for that kind of behavior, this is not the place to go. If you're a recovering alcoholic, you don't go to the bar. I didn't know Joe Mixon was a serial woman beater. That he needed help. When did this happen? But when he was talking about him, it's all, well, he's a good kid. Boys will be boys type talk. He talked about shooting up a club with an AK-47. Killing people. But that's okay. What Chris Rock say? It's all right as long as it's all white. You might be the only one that can't watch the live feed. Because it's actually coming in clear for the first time ever. So, this Cincinnati television station wants to ban and want people to donate money to the Domestic Abuse Foundation and all this stuff, and don't watch the Bengals game because they drafted Joe Mixon. And people mad because he went to Cincinnati. That team is full of nothing but hotheads and criminals. I'm sorry. I didn't know anybody on the Cincinnati Bengals have had problems since they've been on the Cincinnati Bengals. What they have been is a second chance program. Pac-Man Jones. All the other players they had, they gave him a second chance. Have Pac-Man had any problems? No. He just recently got, a DUI or something? This happened years ago, and they want to crucify him, not let him play in the NFL when he was a child. He wasn't even charged. But I just hope in time people get over their own prejudice, because you said nothing about this guy and he threatened to shoot up a nightclub. He said, I'm an AK-47 spray this club up. When he punched the bouncer, I'll come back. He got mad because he got drunk and got cut off, and he didn't like it. He got kicked off the football team that he played for. He was about to play lacrosse. He just tore his ACL. He's going to be on the injured reserve list even when he's active when the season starts. He's not going to be able to play football. But yet, he takes the last spot on the team in the draft. They say, well, that spot is normally irrelevant. People who get that, they ain't going to make it in the league. Then why did you draft him? Why did you pick him up? This is a bad example you're setting. Well, Watson should have been drafted by the Chicago Bears, But we know the Chicago Bears don't do that. The Bears have a simple program. Their program is position by color. They used to joke about the Cincinnati Bengals and say they were like the prison team that was in the movie, the 10 yards or whatever, the one that had Adam Sandler in it, and the one with Burt Reynolds. The Longest Yard, I think that's what it is. With the inmates, yeah, The Longest Yard. They used to joke and say that was the Cincinnati Bengals. They were the inmates. If Cam played more like Brady, he would get his legs broke. Brady gets protected by the refs and the offensive line. Yeah, but nobody's out there crucifying his image. Nobody's crucifying the thing, bringing up the things he's done. But they all bringing up Mixon. But him, he's a good old kid. He's a good kid. Chicago's always been racist. It's always, that's why they didn't pick up Donovan McNabb when they should have. They had a chance to get Donovan McNabb. They didn't. They had a chance to get all these players, but it's like, look, you're going to run the ball, kill yourself, get down to the goal line, and we're going to make sure we throw it to the tight end. They had everybody that leads the Bears. Have you noticed they've had much success and they've been productive when people think they were done? They tell Brandon Marshall that you're only wide receiver you've had in I don't know how long, and he's getting all these touchdowns, and he's a problem? How? Because he's speaking up saying, hey, man, you got to start manning down and standing here, and he's got a TV show. He's on television every week doing his interviews here in Chicago and doing his show. He's not a disruption. Jeffrey's already gone. Hester, they tried to turn him into a wide receiver. He's a return man. That's his job. Well, we paying him too much, so now he got to be a wide receiver too. That's not what he do. He's not used to catching the ball over his head. He's used to facing the ball. So he would stop, turn around, and come back to the ball and catch it. That's the way he's used to catching the football. When it's right in front of him, not over his shoulder. You just can't teach a guy that. The GM just got there and he's gonna get fired. But here's the thing, we're setting a bad precedence here because you got a guy like Mixon who's out here and everybody see Joe Mixon and they go, wow, okay, he's getting a second chance because he hasn't broken any rules yet. He wasn't even charged. Because the woman attacked him. And it has been his only infraction. He hasn't had a speeding ticket. He was 17 years old when that happened. He just turned 18. He's still a kid. This guy's 22 years old. Done all thinkable. He's the Chris Brown of football. This dude said, I'm finna AK spray a nightclub. And you put him in the NFL? Because Jim Kelly says he's a good kid? He's a good kid. He goes to a high school game. He goes to a high school football game and starts a brawl. He is somebody you would say, oh, he's a serial offense person. But Joe Clack didn't bring that up. Not for him. He just turned 18 the other day. He's 17 years old. Bo Collins, he said those exact words after he punched a bouncer. This guy had a broken collarbone, recovered from that surgery. He just tore his ACL. He's going to be on the injury reserve. Why would you draft him? Why you draft a guy who you know is going to be on the injured reserve? Just because you and Jim Kelly are buddies. You're only forcing him to be the quarterback. Black crime. Well, tell me what's white crime, because I've already discussed this many moons ago. Before somebody, a celebrity said it, we've already discussed it, had a video about it, chatted about it. Crime is crime. They don't have a color about a crime. We actually had the percentages and showed the numbers. The highest percentage of you being killed or murdered is by people of your own color and kind. White people are mostly murdered by white people. Mexicans are normally murdered by Mexicans. So all of this white crime, black crime, all that stuff is crazy. It's just a way to keep people focused on one thing and act like it's only black people killing people. Matter of fact, another person brought it up also. Rob Parker on Undisputed. He actually brought that up on one of the shows. He said, you never heard the phrase. He was like, 80% of white people that are killed by other white people, but you never heard the term white on white crime. Then you look at the Bear situation. This is what I said. This here is putting an ugly stamp. It's putting an ugly stamp on the NFL and putting a spotlight on the double standard. Because here's a guy, Watson. The guy was up for the Heisman Trophy 2 years in a row. He throws for 400 plus yards, 500 in the championship game, in both championship games. He only lost one game, and he threw for 500 yards. In the only game he lost in his collegiate career. Took Clemson. Do you want to know what Clemson was before he got there? Steve Fuller sat down and met with him because he's wearing the number Steve Fuller retired number is. And he came down and said, I met this guy and he can wear my number. I had to meet him first. And this guy is definitely the guy I would like to wear my number. Watson went to the combine and impressed. They're saying he's going to be the next surprise since it's like he's better than Dak Prescott. He can run, but he can also pass. But they wanted to typecast him. Oh, well, he runs too much. We don't know if he could run. Like the Bears, Chicago Bears has such a significant offensive system. Their playbook is only 3 pages. But here's a guy that just won the national championship this year. This man won the national championship this year. No man should hit a woman. No one's condoning what he did. Nobody said he was right for what he did. Well, I'm not saying that. Some people in the chat room is like, she deserved what she got. That's just nuts. No man is supposed to hit a woman, period. You can detain her. You're more physically strong. I know you might want to knock her head off. Well, then why you here, Bruce, so-called Wayne? I know. They've been going through coaches ever since they got rid of Lovie Smith for no reason. Every time the Bears showing progress, they screw it all up. They had Bennett and didn't throw him the ball. They had Bennett get all the way to the 1-yard line and then let somebody else and throw it to his buddy or somebody and run it in and act like Bennett didn't do any of the work. They wouldn't even throw the ball to Bennett. They just used him to block. And they started letting, what's his name, Zach Miller, the white guy, get all the touchdowns. That's the Bears. Well, Virginia McCaskey, she's going to run the team. She's like 95,000 years old, and she ain't going nowhere. And they got her confined to everything. All she going to do is position by colors. Black guys, they play defense. White guys, they're on the offensive line. And they're wide receivers. And we got to have a white tight end. When they had their black coach, finally, first black coach ever, Lovie Smith, he had to go through extraneous tests. The only reason he got the job because he had a white wife. And he talks like he's white. So he was safe. He's going to run the system how we tell him to run it. So what you're saying is a person that wins the national championship, okay, here's the warning. No racial, homophobic stuff in the chat room. Next thing you know, everybody's going to be out. You will be out, out, out. Jay Black, that's your last warning. Now, we're looking at a situation where you got a Heisman Trophy winner. And next thing you know, boom. He can't get in the NFL with the second pick of the draft. But I think it's in hindsight because let's say the Bears did get him. The Bears is so terrible, they wouldn't even use him right. So I think now that he's with Houston, he got a team that want to win. They got a team around him that's showing that they can show him support and get him to the next level. That's exactly what they need to do. Focus on that. Because I believe they're going to have success and they're going to create a problem now. They ain't going to be a walk in the park. New England going to have problems with Houston. Houston already has the defense. All they needed was somebody that could score points. New England barely beat them last year. I'm glad he went to Houston. That is the perfect fit. They didn't need any dumb person in there to mess that up. They didn't need no Tony Romo who's only going to get his neck broke as soon as they play the game anyway. Exactly. But they talk about his, ordeals or what have you. But how many times you heard them talk about Kelly? Let's look up Chad Kelly's issues. He played for what team? I can't even remember. Didn't he play for OU, Ole Miss?
Viagra single packs are
I think he did.
for your convenience.
Let's see. What did he do? What did he do? Because he got kicked off the team. Yeah, I know he went out there and got on the court. I remember he finna shoot up the nightclub. He threatened to shoot up a nightclub after getting beat up with an AK-47. In today's age and time, a college player talking about shooting up a nightclub. Yeah, put him in the NFL. That's what you want. Okay, here it is. April 2014, when he was arrested 8 months later after being accused of punching a bouncer at the bar, threatening to open gunfire in the bar, and getting into an altercation with police during his arrest. He pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and was sentenced to conditional discharge that may include community service. And who is the people that they said worked with him during this ordeal to make sure he's gotten better? That he's turned a corner? Who? I don't. Only with black folks do they talk about joining, like you got to go to therapy and do all this other stuff. What about the the white athletes? I don't see about them. What kind of service he do? What kind of reports they said happened with him? When did he turn a corner? Now, they said in his first year at Ole Miss in 2015, Kelly broke or tied 14 school records, including the single season records for passing yards, touchdowns, and completion percentages. He got the complexion for the protection for the collection. Diva! Everybody knows that white boy is going to get everything he asks for. Why? Because he's overprivileged. Your Uncle White. If Joe Mixon was Joe Nixon, he would have went with the first pick of the draft. Because he would have had the complexion for the protection for the collection. And I just did that on the spot too. And it fits. If Joe Mixon name was Joe Nixon, he wouldn't have had no problem getting it. Yeah, we finna shut this down. All y'all talking about doing is fighting each other. I know. This shows everybody that the whole NFL is one of the most racist organizations or leagues that we have. That you could see it plain as day. Because the racism is in the contracts. The contracts show you, hey, we racist, baby. We can do with you what we want you to do, and that's it. Adrian Peterson whoop his kid, and he got to miss a whole year of football. They take away his contract as soon as he gets hurt. He got to sign for 2 years for $7 million. And he's Adrian Peterson. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. His numbers hadn't declined. Now, don't get me started on Kaepernick. Kaepernick did that to himself. He was an idiot. And don't hit me with this Kaepernick did all this for the black people. I'm not buying it. I know the facts. We know the facts too much. You can't go overlook the facts to try to go with what his movement is because you align to it. He's playing on your sympathy for a situation. That's why he backpedaling now, saying, "No, I'll stand up. I'll stand up now." Yeah, you're gonna stand up. I bet you will stand up. The facts is that this is what happened, K-Tone. I'm gonna tell you right now. Before he did the sit down for the flag, Colin Kaepernick didn't want to be in San Francisco. He was trying to be traded. The team didn't want him either. He didn't want to play for Chip Kelly. He didn't want to play for the 49ers no more after the dismal season they had. He wanted to be traded. He publicly went out and said he wanted to be traded. The players on the team was like, fine, get rid of him if he don't want to be here. So the team tried to trade him, but they signed him to a big contract, $100 million contract. So he would have to take a $7 million pay cut to play on another team. Another team said, we'll take him, but he got to take Tennessee Titans was going to take him. But he got to take a $7 million pay cut, or the 49ers would have to pay the $7 million on their own to cover him going there. And they were like, no, you got to take a pay cut. He said, I'm not taking one. They said, well, we can't move you. You're going to have to be a 49er. And then Chip Kelly was like, I want Colin Kaepernick on the team. I'll play with him. The Jets was another team that would take him. And he had to take a pay cut. And he said no. So he said no to the pay cut, thinking like they were going to trade him anyway. So he was mad he was still on the team. So what did he do? He came up with a way to make the organization try to force them to trade him. He sat down during the American flag. When they was finna hold up the flag, he sat down. And he did that not knowing it was going to cause all of this commotion. When he sat down, he wasn't starting. They wasn't finna play him. He was still rehabbing. He wasn't ready to play anyway. And it got picked up by the liberals. The people who are the liberal people, like, yes, this is what we need. We need this. We're going to make a movement out of it. And it got bigger than him. So he had no choice but to ride the wave. He was, this going to get me out of here and get me on the field. And I'm going to be out of the 49ers. I'm gone. So he went to wearing socks that had pigs on it, police officers in pig uniforms on his socks, and they made him stop doing that. They like, nah, you going too far. And they was like, well, why are you sitting down? I'm doing this because blacks have been oppressed and been abused by the police, and I want to just show them, do something to show solidarity. And then all the other football players start buying into it, start getting themselves in trouble, holding their fists up, doing all kind of stuff. And it started a commotion and a liberal movement, and they put Colin Kaepernick's face as the catalyst for all of it. And and he's doing something great. I'm like, y'all just don't even see what this guy's doing. Y'all don't even see what he's completely doing. Y'all didn't follow it all the way. Y'all came in once the liberal press got in and blew it all up. So you didn't even follow or remember the stuff that happened. And now you're watching a guy who's going to turn on you. We told you this from the beginning. We have videos telling you this was going to happen. Colin Kaepernick has done nothing before that. He didn't say rest in peace to none of the kids that was shot. You didn't see no Twitters. You didn't see nothing. And all of a sudden he's standing up for all the people in police violence that happened in the past. Come on, man. It was total fake garbage. That's why I don't support him. Then he was like, oh, his jersey was #1 selling. They was pushing that. And he had to give some money to some charities. Now he was like, oh, he donated money to Somalia, people in Somalia. It's people in the hood that's broke here. Why you got to donate money to Somalia? We ain't eating over here. But I get it. I get it. It's good publicity. And then at the end of the season, what did he do? When I say I want to see if he do it next year. He blackballed himself. He was stupid enough to take a pay cut to get back on the field. You should have never took that pay cut and got back on the field. They made him sign a pay cut so he could play. That's why they wouldn't play him, because he wouldn't agree to take the pay cut. So he took a pay cut to play for the 49ers, thinking he was auditioning for another team. And here's the thing that people didn't notice. He played all right. He played decent enough. Because they looked terrible with the other quarterback. He just was not getting it done. But he played all right for what he did. For that little part of the season, the 49ers is just terrible. But he played all right. But Colin Kaepernick gonna change his mind and decided that you can't protest forever. No, it's just the timing of it. Soon as it's over, the season was over, because he talked to a veteran, and that's when he stopped sitting and started taking a knee, because he talked to a retired veteran who was handicapped, who went to war and fought, and said, that's completely disrespectful to me. And he said, you know what? And these were black people that served, and he was like, you know what? I'll take a knee. I won't sit. At least I'll do is take a knee. So he started taking knees. Oh yeah, Kaepernick has got to do it now. Don't you see? Once he made this bed, he got to lay in it now. Now he's got to be the charitable. He's got to be the charitable person every time and doing stuff for Somalia and all this stuff. He can't back out of that now. Oh, but then he said, no, I won't. I made my statement, so I'm not going to sit down no more for the flag. And the brothers, we love to see anything like that go down. We just jump right in, because we ain't going to do no research and find out what was going on. We just going to jump right in and be like, yeah, Kaepernick. That's right, Kaepernick. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Kelly was drafted by the last pick in the draft by his good old friend John Elway. Jim Kelly's best friend, John Elway, he probably called John and said, John, can you take my nephew with the last pick of the draft so he can at least get a check? And this guy is on injured reserve from an ACL injury. He won't even be able to throw a football to July. Medically cleared to throw a football by July. Why are you wasting your time and giving him the last pick of the draft when this could be a real player out there who really want to fight and get in position to try to make the football team? I think that's counterproductive, but that's just me. Of course, it's ran by people who are older in age, and they see the system only being one way, and that's their way, the old boy system. They don't even want a black general manager. Look how quick, what's his name, Lynch got in there. You see how Lynch got hired, and I like John Lynch, no problem against John Lynch, but you saw how quick Lynch got drafted. here's the thing. Yes, we've seen the word racism get thrown around over and over and over. But you say the word don't mean anything because we throw it around. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. No, John Lynch. He's the new general manager. Got a GM position. Marshawn Lynch is the running back. John Lynch is the white guy. And, and John Lynch was the safety. And my goodness, he was just doing broadcasts. And now he's up. Yep, former safety, Tampa Bay. He's won a Super Bowl. Used to keep a letter to his wife in his helmet. Same guy. I know I have a video on my timeline which states why Bird left the Indiana Pacers. But thank you for letting me know you keep up with my videos. My thing is, racism stems from how you were raised. It comes from the household. It comes from how you were raised. Your parents' parents. The society in which you live in. People are racist and don't even know it. They'll be saying racist things in front of you and they don't even know that they're being racist. Because it was the way that they were raised. If someone raised you to believe this is this, this is that, you've been homeschooled, this is this, out here in these areas, they rarely, frequently hang out or interact with any other people. Basically, they go someplace, it's all white. They go here, it's all white. If go up someplace, all white, one black guy who might go to their school. Their school might have 15 blacks total. The rest might be Hispanic. There are more Hispanics out here than black. Where I live is 5% black. And I don't know what they did with those 5. And I told the one white guy who kept saying, I just don't understand it. Why can't everybody be like it is out here? Why can't it be like this? You see how everyone gets along? I just don't understand it. And I said, well, let me explain something to you. I'm like, you know why you're so comfortable and relaxed right now? You're sitting out here at this open restaurant. We're outside eating at this restaurant. You know why it's like this? And you feel so comfortable? I'm like, look around you. How many people look like you? Exactly. I'm like, I'm the only black guy probably in here besides the one guy that's working here. And I was like, I'm the one that should feel uncomfortable in this situation. But I said, I tell you what, go down to the city right now. We'll go to the city, go to a restaurant there where there's 80-90% black folks. And I want to see how you feel being in that environment. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've seen it happen live. See, it's funny because one of the girls I used to work with, at college, they mix everybody up no matter what. So she had a white roommate. So she invited the white roommate, who was a homegirl on campus, to come to her birthday party. And she's like, I'm going to come to your party, girl. So she brings her white friend with her to come with her. So he comes to the party, and her white friend and the white girl that came there. Now, the white girl, she's cool with all this because she's seen this is nothing but Southern Illinois to her. So they all chilling. It's a one big party for them. Then all of a sudden, here comes I look over there and I see a white friend. He's just sunken. Now, he wasn't as comfortable as he was when he was on the campus. When he was around the lacrosse team and all that stuff, he wasn't as comfortable. He was sunk in. Like, hey, it was like, are you enjoying it? Having a great time. Why? Because he's not used to the environment. He wasn't used to the environment. He didn't know he was going to the party where it was going to be 90% black. I'm like, y'all in the hood. Y'all just got some directions and went, huh? Y'all ain't know where y'all was going. I was like, welcome. Oh man, it was funny. I mean, I enjoyed every minute of it, but I'm told him, I was like, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You know what? I'll get hurt before you would. They won't touch you. I'm the one they would rob. I'm the one that should be getting out of here. They'll see you be like, oh, I ain't touching that white guy. Oh, no. The poor black guy, yeah, let's rob him. Why? Because it's programmed, and this is what they teach you in the system. If you touch or hurt anybody white, they punish you for it. The crime is greater. The time is greater. If you touch somebody of you, they feel like it's no significance. So it mentally programs you to not want to touch white people. But to harm your own, nothing's going to happen. There's no investigation. No one cares. You see, and that's what the accountability that most of us are not, we're not beholden to it the way we should. We should be the ones to saying, hey, look, we need to go ahead and police ourselves and these things of nature. When somebody gets life and getting major time for shooting and injuring blacks, people are going to think twice about injuring black people. It's just like that. The law isn't fair. And it's never been. Yeah. Because you look at it, you have no recreation, you have no jobs, you have people that's in your neighborhood that's fighting for territory, fighting over drug territory. You took everybody from other areas, tore down where they live, gave them checks, and sent them and moved them in other people's neighborhoods. Now the neighborhoods are overcrowded. It's just like what happened when New Orleans and Louisiana got flooded out, and those people had to go places, and they had to go to different areas. What do you think? You think all the people in there were good? Most of those people went to places like Houston. And they went to Houston. And when they went to Houston, a lot of them decided they was going to start their drug operation and set up everything out there in Houston. And they were getting laid down. Houston became a war zone after the floods in North Carolina. In New Orleans. And they were shooting and fighting and everything else, and most of them end up going right back to New Orleans before they was even done, because them people were getting shot down. Because New Orleans, what people don't realize, is very close to Houston. So most of them moved there and stayed with relatives, and they had places set up for them out there. Yep, some went to Atlanta, and a lot of violence ensued because it's like trying to blend in two different tribes of people. What you did in your part, and you come into another area, it's always going to be conflict. Especially if you on the up and up, and especially when you're doing something illegal anyway. To go that route is very dangerous. Oh yeah, for sure. But we talked about this subject more than enough. We'll chat later. It's your boy Carcino. He's out. I'm out. And no, I'm not falling asleep on you this time.